When you want to approach me with your blues, state them, but don't act as though you are going to die from them, because I don't believe your blue moments should kill you. Yeah, so in one of my posts, the previous ones, where I spoke about my career transition sparks, I recall that I stated that, I got this massive spark, well, as far as I considered it at the time, receiving a salary of about 300% increase was a massive spark to me, especially having experienced, severe delays and, lack of salary reviews for multiple years. So yeah, that was a big spark. That was a major one in my career, and I spoke about it. So yeah, I also then wanted to share this so that people don't run with that information, because certain information could be misleading to people who probably do not want to pay the price. So I don't want it to seem as though luck happened, or yeah, it could happen. Joy spoke about it. Oh yeah, why not? I don't want you guys to begin to feel that way. So I figured it's important that I also shared the blues that were involved, before that actually happened in my career. So yeah, before I got that role, I had put in a minimum of, I think, 15 years into the corporate space. I had put in a minimum of 15 years into the corporate space, clinical aspects, and of course, the business side, which I had shared in earlier posts. So I had put in so much to actually get there. And then in those years, a lot happened. So some of the things that happened, some of the blue moments I had, one of the major ones I want to share today is, these days, a lot of people are relocating. And of course, everyone knows my background. I'm a registered nurse. So I hear people say things like, oh, I work 2 jobs. Oh, I work 3 shifts, and all of those kinds of things. So these days, I look and I sort of smile, and I was like, only God knows. The days when we were already holding 3 jobs, I'm sure some of the people lamenting today, I'm not too sure where they were. Yeah, some of them, of course, were also probably doing it. But this is my own story, and I'm happy to share so that somebody can be duly inspired, and then somebody can be probably supported. So yeah, when I became a registered nurse, and I think even after becoming a registered midwife, there were times back, in Lagos, Nigeria, where I worked 3 jobs. I practically lived on the jobs, like, moving from one hospital to the other, running several shifts. So it's not new to somebody like me, so I tell people that work with me, I tell them, I'm referring to my staff now, and, my colleagues, I tell them, yeah, I'm not going to stand, like one of my previous bosses. Some of you would know him. He had this phrase, we've seen it all. I don't want to sound that way, because I've definitely not seen it all. I'm still learning. But then we've seen some things. We've been through some serious blue moments. So I tell them, when you want to approach me with your blues, state them, but don't act as though you are going to die from them, because I don't believe your blue moments should kill you. I believe, you owe it to yourself first of all to get it fixed. When you are speaking to somebody that has, in life, in career, has been painted blue, more or less, you need to actually know how to approach them and put, your situation or your problem down. So I've held, even in Nigeria, as at early 2000s, I've held 3 clinical roles at once. I've spent weeks without really having, like sleeps. Yeah, you might be lucky if you don't have a busy night shift. I've had to put up with all that. Do I look it? No, today. Now, so Those things have happened. I've experienced those things, you know. That being said, it's important that, we appreciate these things when they happen. And it's important that we realize that we are the first step to take and make a change. If you do not, it's going to be so difficult or totally impossible for you to begin to experience sparks in your career, relationships, business, and, etc. aspects of life. So it's important that you believe in yourself whilst you are passing through blue moments. You need to tell yourself that you are the same person that will take the first step towards experiencing sparks. That is what I have to talk to you about today. Yeah, so I would always most likely share a real life story. Some people close to me must have heard this story in the past. So at some point while I worked in one of these hospitals back then, we used to earn as low as 10,000. In some hospitals, we used to earn as low as 8,000. That was 8,000 naira, in some hospitals. And then these same hospitals will still not pay you even in full. But we never fought, because I knew that, okay, I'm newly qualified. I needed to learn. I needed to, just basically have a career, put up a system for myself, know what's up, know what's going on, practicalize what I've been taught, so I was even, just like, okay, I'm happy to have a place. And because I've been quite financially literate for long, I was really never stranded, despite not being, well paid, or let me say paid as at when due. I was still able to manage my systems. So there was a fateful day, I was leaving the house, going for a shift, and I think they had told us we're going to get part of our pay, so I felt, okay, fine, let me just give myself a treat. Sweet sensation, for those of you that know, still used to be the big thing then. I lived in the Ogba area, so sweet sensation Ogba, for those of you that know, shout out. That was a big place then, so I stepped in, feeling like a baby girl. And of course, I wanted to go get, a meal. I ordered the meal. And then by the time I got the price, lo and behold, I couldn't afford it. If I paid for that meal, and if anything went wrong with the salary, which was always not, they will promise and you might not get it, then I probably would have been stranded. And on the queue, trust me, it was a massive queue of young people and all that. So they gave me the bill. I thought about it for a moment and I was like, wow, this is trouble. I had to take a quick decision. And I looked and I was like, oh, I'm so sorry. You need to take out the protein. I'm sorry, I can't afford it. And the whole, the people on the queue went, oh, ha, ha, ha. There was a massive laughter. I was, totally embarrassed. I was ashamed of myself. As a young girl, I think, I was really in my early 20s, and of course, being a baby girl, I was looking really nice, pretty. And then I was that broke. So people were like, oh, wow, come, let me, different, let's wait for you, all those kinds of embarrassing comments. But I stood my ground. As I take away the protein, how much is the rice? Okay, yeah, I could afford the rice alone. Even in my entire life before that day, I had never had a rice meal without a protein on it. Yeah, I've never had that experience, but I had to go through that. So I took the meal and I left. Nothing happened. Nothing, absolutely nothing happened. However, what happened to me? I did not, make a mess of my finances. I did not choose to go stranded, because of that, which brings me to delayed gratification. Are you aware that delayed gratification is a big deal that can move you into your sparks? How many of young people today are happy and ready and willing to go through delayed gratification? Do you have the slightest idea of how critical it is to delay gratification to enable you experience sparks, especially in blue moments? Are you aware of these things? So that sounds like something easy, but then if you can weigh the embarrassment I felt within that crowded environment, especially at that young age, where, youthful exuberance still disturbs people, But I decided to be serious. I decided to face life. I decided to hold on to my reality. What was my reality at that point? Low paid, working with organizations that don't pay on time and all of that. Yeah, this is not me being proud, but that was my situation. That was my reality. Now, is that reality still what it is today? No. Why? Because I was able to accept that reality, live in it, pay the price that needed to be paid, and then able to do something about moving out of it, stepping out of it. And that is part of what I'm talking to my viewers about today. The fact that you feel unsatisfied or unhappy about your current salary or your current situation doesn't necessarily mean that that is where you're going to end up. If you choose to end up there, then, well, you don't want to pay the price of escaping the blue moments and moving into your sparks. So that is why I say there's this big aspect of personal decision that moves you away from your blue moments, blue feelings into your sparks. You need to first take that one before you begin to then seek support where necessary, and then begin to do the bigger things that can move you into your sparks. So I needed to, put that out there real quick. Now, talking about our career, these days, you see people jumping from pillar to post, jumping from fry pan to fire, for lack of a better word. It's common. I advise people come to me for, advice regarding their career and how to move to next stages and all of that. But then when I do the assessment and I see that, I ask the first question, what's your biggest pain point? 90% of the people tell you, oh, it's the money. Joy is the money, And the moment I hear that, I don't struggle, because it's a big gap. It's a big gap, and it's really intense to get people to understand that the prize shouldn't be the money, and then because they see you today, they feel, don't mind her. It's all about the money. And those are the reasons why I'm putting out my story. I've never really experienced, a situation where I changed jobs because of a salary. I tell people, and I'm standing by it, I've never had that mental, idea of, oh, let me go for this role because I need more salary. I've never really thought of that. I'm very much value driven. I'm very much calculated and strategic. And I've applied these things, to my career journey. I've been able to say, okay, in another 3 years, in another 5 years, where do I want to be? What do I need to do? What do I need to acquire to qualify me for this place? So I really don't push it. I really don't fight it. When it's time for me to be on the next phase, the things that are required of me, I get them ready. And then I wait for my time. And it happens. That is how the universe responds to everybody. I'm a Christian, by the way, and I really don't believe God is partial. I stand to be corrected. So I also believe, quite frankly, Yoruba say, "Kò sẹ́ni t'Ọlọ́run ò ṣe fún." I believe in that. So if you keep thinking that, oh, some people are favored, yes, there's the word favor, but then I really don't believe in it, because it's a level playing ground. Everybody needs to play the game. If you are unable to give the sacrifice, trust me, you are going to be blue. You are going to be painted blue. You are going to be living in blue moments almost all your days. However, if you realize that you need to enjoy the sparks, you need to change your life, there are certain hard decisions you need to take. For lack of a better word, and not to sound insulting, I behind closed doors, within myself, I feel that people that change jobs solely because of salaries have not caught it yet. Like, they are not there yet. They don't get it. They don't know what it is. Let me tell you why. You see that new salary, your lifestyle, your system is going to catch up with it. A lot of people are not financially literate. A lot of people don't understand salary increase and how to exploit in the first instance. I'll take some other videos for that. A lot of people don't understand the implication of a salary top up. They feel that a salary top-up has expanded their system. They should probably go to a bigger house. They should probably, they don't get it. That's another topic for another day. Now, because of their lack of knowledge, they quickly run into the double salaries, triple salaries, or massive salaries, and then they explode. And in 6 months, they're like, wow, what's going on? I'm broke. I need to do this. I can't keep up. And then they start submitting CVs again. How long are you going to do this? Yes, it might sound not too bad when you are younger, but when you are approaching midlife, what happens? Now, another negative aspect of jumping, because of salaries and all of these things is that you don't really get grounded. So you are not a master of something because you've been probably shifting too much, and then your focus is just the money. And from my own experience, well, I stand to be corrected. It turns out that most of the people that are just salary driven are not usually, what's the word now? Major people. Like, they don't rise into people of substance in the career space. They don't. Because if you are driven just by your salary, it means that first of all, you are somewhat myopic. You are unable to think about how wide you can go. You are unable to think about how big you can get. You are unable to imagine abundance. You are unable to see yourself in bigger spaces. You are unable to understand that there's so much more to finance. There's so much more to living in abundance. There's so much more to career sparks than a salary. Like I said, this particular matter is sensitive, and certain people are, it will be difficult to convince them. Yeah, but I'm grateful because I've never really had to move jobs because of a salary. I moved jobs for, certain reasons. I'm going to do another video to let us know the reasons why I've had to move jobs and how, it has given me the sparks and how it has affected my reality. Because I've had to do those things in a strategic way. I've had to align them to my vision. I've had to think deeply without necessarily really thinking about the salary. There's this mindset of being able to have a bigger picture that is clear. It takes deep thinking. It takes time, and let me tell you what the story is. Nobody's going to do it for you. I don't think there's a coach that will do that for you. You need to sit down. You need to sit down and think about your life goals. You need to sit down and think about your 3-year plan, 5-year plan, 10-year. It's your role. It's your job. That's your involvement. There's no organization that's going to do that for you. Where you could be lucky to get people to choose to become your mentors. Yeah, you may be lucky, and that is if you even believe them. Because most mentors would have been living in abundance. They could have been financially free. And then a lot of folks feel, don't mind them. That's what they are saying. In their time, did they wait? They never know. And this is the reason, why we have Sparks and Blues, so that we can help people. We can make people have a broader view of these things. Running from pillar to post has done good to no one. You don't become grounded at anything. And that salary you are thinking is going to clear your blues is going to add more to it. Another thing that we hear is people say, well, I had to leave my job because I had a bad manager. Well, we read about it, even in, places. Yeah, they speak about it a lot. For me, I want to, differ a little bit. And this is why. I often believe that there's really nobody that is perfect. It takes a lot from a junior person or a mid-level person to understand leadership. Leadership is a big thing. And it takes a lot. It takes a broad mind to understand it. And in one of my posts, I have said that when you are a junior person, you really cannot see leadership. You cannot understand it. So you stand on the side of constant complaints. Those things happen, which is fine. Now, what am I saying? For people that say, oh, I'm leaving because my manager is bad and all of those kinds of things. Yes, it's beautiful to say. But then, when you are given the chance, do you have an idea of what kind of manager you are going to become? That's one. Two, if you are moving off because you've got a bad manager, the new manager you are going to, is that person your mother? Is the person your dad? Even if the person is your husband, does it mean you are going to be able to work together? You don't even know who your new manager is. You don't know their background. You don't have a clue. Well, max, you met them at interview, and then you believe everything is, so lovely. When you begin to hit it at the job, then you begin to know each other. Yes, in some instances, you could get it better, but what if you do not? What then happens? What then happens? You will begin to run again. What if you run again, you meet a new manager, and then it's still the same thing? So when I hear someone speak about, I've got a bad manager twice, I feel that you need to be checked. Yes, I'm not going to tell you that there are no bad managers. That's not the message for today. The message is that for you to succeed on your role, for you to beat the blues and move into the sparks, trust me, your EI level has to be intact and has to be robust. You need to be extremely emotionally intelligent. Now, why? There's this, word, we say a lot, you need to manage your manager. Yeah, that's what it is. If you have gotten into a job because of a bigger picture, trust me, you'll manage your manager. Even if, your manager is, in quotes, a bad manager, you will manage your manager, and then you would plan a proper strategic exit. That is the message I'm bringing to you today. So exiting, my manager is bad, I'm exiting, my salary is low. Well, I don't know what that has done to people that are focused on that in 10 years. Has it given you the spark? So you need to look inwards today. If you've been involved with, my manager is bad, my salary is not able to meet up with my needs or my wants, and then give yourself, for those of you that have worked extensively, check what has happened to you achievement-wise in 10 years. How has it been? What has been your story? What are you truly able to say? You need to begin to look inwards. To summarize, what I'm saying today is blue moments, trust me, are part of life. They could be everywhere and anywhere. You never can tell. We have blue moments in our relationships, which includes marriages. We have blue moments in our religious interactions, which includes churches. We have blue moments everywhere, not just in career or at work. However, getting into your sparks, what sparks gives you is, aside from, maybe giving you some level of financial freedom, it also gives you some level of control over your time. It gives you some level of freedom. And that when you begin to experience those things, that is when you can say you're beginning to get into your spark moments and life is becoming beautiful. Yes, the blues will soon, could still, show up in relation to projects, in relation to, certain timelines and certain things you are getting involved with. However, you find out that your spark can swallow the blues. Your spark can chase the blues. That is the point I think, every one of us needs to put as a target and needs to drive ourselves towards. How do I raise my sparks in life to swallow my blues? Because I know that blues are a part of life. They would come. But I need to be at that sparks level where, thinking about my sparks, seeing my sparks, experiencing them on different platforms can just downplay the blues. And then that makes you, a happier person. That makes you, a more successful person. And this is not me saying rich. Successful means that, you are free. You're happy. You have control of your time. You have control of your space. You can't buy those things. Those things are priceless. So those are some of the things, or let me say, those are some of the major things, that I'm talking about. So yeah, how prepared are you to fight your blues? How prepared are you to personally chase your blues down the drain and then allow your sparks to be on top so that, when the blues are coming, your sparks are more than enough to chop them out and to, swallow them up. That's the place where I need every one of us to begin to gravitate towards, with regards to our career. Yes, I'm talking much about career because career is a big deal. It's a great aspect of our lives, and it's important. A lot of us are affected by the day-to-day activities, that goes on in our career, in our workplace. But then we're going to be having a lot of other series sessions around relationships, sparks and blues, and other topics as well. So it's not just on the career path. But then let this be our take home. You are able to work on your blues by what? Increasing your sparks. How do you increase your sparks? You have to be deliberate. You have to be intentional. You have to put in the work. You have to put in the effort. You have to find a key way to avoid being judgmental. Yes, we all talk, but being convinced and judgmental will take you nowhere. Confirming that, I've got a bad boss and for that reason I have to exit. My salary is too small, for that reason I have to exit. Check a 10-year period. What has such decisions done to your sparks level? And what has it done to your blue moments? Tell yourself the truth. Nobody's going to come, to ask you and all of that thing. You just sit down, think about them and tell yourself the truth. And then you will see that, it's best to be more realistic and it's best to pay the price. So now people say things like, my salary, I need to move because it's too small. I'm wondering if there's wisdom in that. I'm wondering if that is smart. Instead of you to say, okay, I'm here today, I've arrived at this organization, I hope to spend 3 years because I've seen the organogram and I want to be at this level. It's going to take me 2 years or 3 years to be at this level. I'll be needing these qualifications or these certifications to be at this level, or I'll be needing this category of work. I'll be needing this class of work outputs to arrive there. And then you begin to do those things. Or for some reasons, I've looked at this organization and I might not be able to go beyond this level. However, I need to be at this other level that is way higher after a year or after 2 years or 3 years or 5 years. What do I need to do to get to this other organization? You begin to do it. You begin to research on the organization and then you begin to do those things. You will find out that when that time reaches, something would give, and then that space is going to attract you, and then you will fit in, and you'll be able to sit tall on the next role, rather than lamenting daily, causing chaos in the organization, being a negative staff, complaining, my salary, yet you've done nothing. You've not acquired more certifications. You've not gone back to school. You are not churning out work of quality outputs. You are not being strategic. You are not studying. And then all you are doing is increasing your blues. That's all. You are going to be sad. You are going to remain sad. Nobody's going to help you. You will keep, talking behind. You just keep talking and then nothing is happening. And then the next available double salary or whatever increase, you run for it. You run into it. Then you start again. The cycle repeats itself. You need to avoid that. Think deeply. Sit down. Think deeply. If truly jumping around solely because of salary, solely because you've got a bad boss, has truly taken away your blues, you should answer yourself. Think deeply if such decisions have taken away your blues in the last 5 years, in the last 10 years, in the last 15 years. And then tell yourself the truth and try as much as possible to make a change today by filling up your sparks jar. Filling up your sparks jar, trust me, will swallow your blues and then you'll be up for a good life. Thank you guys for listening. Thank you so much. Bye.